Welcome back to Lunchpale Techie Workflows. I'm Jeremy. Thank you so much for tuning in. This week, it's something really special. It hits close to home. I'm going to use this workflow, and I think the people who live in Texas might actually find it useful as well. And if you stay until the end, you won't have to do anything besides send me your email, and you could actually end up saving hundreds of dollars every month. If you live in Texas, you know the electric bills that you have can be unpredictable. One day you're having a great time at 65 and everything is good. The next, it's 105. Everyone in your neighborhood has their AC on and you get your bill and it's crazy. Let me explain exactly what's happening in Texas. So we have a separate power grid from the rest of the country. It's managed by a company called ERCOT, and ERCOT actually manages the power grid through an open marketplace. So instead of your state running the power grid, sending you a flat fee every month, our state decided, let's have hundreds of companies and have an open marketplace. And this marketplace works a lot like the stock market, where prices are fluctuating on an hour by hour basis. In fact, it changes every 15 minutes. So on hot days, everyone's running their AC, super expensive. Mild days, not so much. Here's the problem. Most people won't know this until they receive their bill at the end of the month. So they have no idea why it says 400 versus 150 because of these spikes that happen throughout the month. So what we're going to do today is actually build a workflow that will help send you updates when this electricity spikes. And ultimately, you'll be able to adjust things in your home to make sure that you're not using a bunch of electricity as the price goes up, and it could end up saving you hundreds, if not thousands, by the end of the year. So let's get started. As always, we'll be building an N8N. This one's going to be a little bit different from what we did last week, which is we're actually going to self-host this on our machines and use N8N actually through their self-hosted platform. And I'll show you all of what that means here in a second. But effectively, what you'll need to do to get started today is have a little bit of knowledge of how to open your terminal. I have a Mac. It's really simple. I can basically open it through a couple of different buttons and then essentially type in what I need from my terminal, and then it'll obviously, shoot right off. So get yourself a little bit familiar with how you'll open your particular terminal. I'll show you exactly how I'll do mine, and we'll go ahead and get started. So I managed to open my terminal by literally just going to my launcher, hitting terminal, and popping it open. So yours will probably look empty. I've been messing around a little bit with mine, so you can see that, we're about to get started in building something. What's really cool about this is you'll have to actually download Node.js to be able to access outside commands for things that you want to build on your actual machine. Node.js has a bunch of different functionality with it. You'll need to download this. It's not like an application, so you won't really see it, but your computer will know that you have it. You'll be able to see that you do, whether you just decide to download it on your desktop or in your downloads, and then you'll come to your terminal to actually see it in action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open N8N here through my terminal, take you to localhost, where again, we're self-hosting this particular workflow, and we're going to start building it in that manner. So follow along. This is a little bit different, but it's actually really cool. So I'll type in npx N8N. It'll load for a quick second. It'll say N8N is ready. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this particular link. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'll just paste it in there. And holy moly, we got N8N running on our virtual machines. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my little group here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new workflow. Now, As I mentioned, Texas is very strange. We have an open marketplace. These, prices fluctuate throughout the day based on your particular zone. And I'll get into zones here in a moment. And then ultimately, how hot or cold your particular area is. If people in your neighborhood are running their ACs or their heaters, that spikes, right? That means that a lot of electricity is being used. Ultimately, what we're going to do is to be able to provide you a quick alert. We'll be actually having to schedule this trigger to run basically every 30 minutes. And I'll show you exactly why here, but it's going to really make a difference, especially in the summer months when, depending on peak times, everyone's home running their AC, you'll probably want that email sent to you. So we're going to start with a schedule trigger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead here. I'll pick on a schedule. And then I'm going to run this every 30 minutes. And we'll call this peak scheduler. It's going to be really nice when you're in the middle of the day, maybe 4 o'clock, a bunch of people get home, they bump up that AC, and then you get your email saying, hey, you need to adjust yours. That's exactly what it's for. So we'll go to the next step, which is getting the ERCOT token. So I'm going to go a little bit into ERCOT. They have an API you're able to connect with. And essentially what you'll be able to do is use that API to log in just like you would your email, and then ultimately create that connection where you'll be able to get that pricing that fluctuates throughout the day. Okay, I've made it to the ERCOT website where we'll be able to sign up to be able to access ERCOT's API. So it's pretty simple. You hit sign in, sign up. I'm going to go ahead and sign up now. I'm going to use my personal email address, and I'm going to create a password. Oh, it's actually making me send a verification code first. So I'm going to go get that in my email. Perfect. I got the verification code, and this is actually quite smart. So makes you do a verification code before it actually allows you to create accounts. So just be aware of that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a password that you guys won't be able to see. I'll do Jeremy, and we'll do Jeremy. Perfect. And create account. Oh, perfect. Now the email is matched, or the password's matched. So I have all my information filled out here. I have my email, my passwords, and then my name. So I'm going to go ahead and create this account. And I'll be taken to the general information page immediately. But I actually want to go to Explore APIs. And what this will do is allow me to see the different types of APIs that ERCOT offers. So it looks like we have the public API client. And what I'll do with this is I'll be able to gather information to effectively figure out exactly which API I want to use for my particular workflow. And of course, we're trying to get all of the information for surge pricing to be sent to our workflow so that we can trigger notifications when actually power increases or decreases in our area. We'll go ahead and we'll take that ERCOT URL. We'll plug it here. I'm actually going to go no authentication directly on my laptop. What I'm going to do is actually build out my authentication like I would to test, or if I was using Postman or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and send body, and we're going to do this from URL encoded. I'm going to start with a grant type. And I'm going to enter in basically password. And this will be the password that you use to create your account. Okay. So we'll go next, and I'll actually enter in my client ID. and I'll pop that in here as well. I'm then going to create my username. And if you remember, I used my personal email address when I was signing up. Perfect. Now I'm going to actually put in my password. So I'm not going to show you exactly what that looks like. I want to keep some of that information to myself. So I'll enter in password. Okay, we'll move on to scope. And I'll go ahead and copy and paste the scope in here as well. And then response type, we want that to be tokenized. Okay, so now let's get authenticated. Voila, we're in. So I'm going to go ahead and call this get ERCOT token. And now it's time to go find these prices. Okay, so I'm going to do a back-to-back HTTP request. And this time I'm actually going to remain on get. So I'm going to plug in that API once again, the API URL. And now we're dealing with the actual zones. Okay. So I'm going to type in my zone, which is LZ North for Dallas. We have LZ Houston. We have LZ East. We have LZ West. Depending on your particular zone, if you live in Texas, I'm going to extract that information for when you fill it out, and I'll make sure that I have all of the zones in the particular workflow. So in the case that your zone spikes, we'll send you that email afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and put in none. And we're going to go ahead and send some query parameters using the fields below. So ERCOT actually calls it settlement point. And I'm going to go ahead and put in LZ underscore north. All right. And then the two most important things we want in terms of pricing is delivery date. Delivery date from. And I'm actually going to put in some JSON code. And I'll make this accessible, obviously, in the JSON file that will be on GitHub. So you'll be able to put that in as well. And then we're going to do the delivery date too. And we'll put that JSON code in there as well. Perfect. All right. So I'm also going to send some headers. So we need to send some headers. We got a authorization. And we're actually going to use a bearer token. And I'm going to actually copy and paste that in here as well. So you'll see that the access code that we received, the access token that we received when we initially authenticated is this one here. So that's all I'm doing is putting that back in so that can authenticate me once again. So I'm going to add the actual subscription key and give it the value. And this is what you got when you signed up for your particular account. They gave you a primary key and a secondary key. I'm just using the primary key. Obviously, I'm not showing you, but you're able to go back and see in your subscriptions for the app that you created what that key is. And then you would put in this particular information here. And then lastly, we'll use user agent just to let ERCOT know who we are and how we're trying to get in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and execute this step. And I got a bad request. So we'll figure out exactly why that is. So the reason why we were having the issue is because I did not spell delivery properly. When you're doing this, you'll get all of this information back for your 400 error, your 401, your 402, your 403s. Just go ahead and read that error and try to figure out exactly what it's saying. Obviously, we have a different authentication methods that we're trying to access. We're using all this technology, and sometimes you might misspell a word. That's completely okay. So you just have to kind of look at the information that error is telling you, and then can correct it like you can. So since I corrected it, I hit execute step, and now you can see that I have a bunch of information here, right? So one of the things that I want you to focus on, and I should go to the JSON because it's a little bit clearer, is you'll be able to see, total records, on that particular settlement point. So we're like LZ North, and as you scroll down, download limit, you'll see a bunch of different information. In this is the price right now. Okay. So we pulled it for March 5th, which is today. What is it right now in this 15-minute block? And it's going to give it back to us. So we'll call this get ERCOT prices. And we will save that. All right. So we're moving along really nicely. And essentially what's going to happen here is I'm going to go ahead and parse these prices out to make sure that we're actually trying to isolate when the price spikes. And actually the message is going to be in here too. So I'm going to go ahead and put in code. We're going to do JavaScript. All of this will be in the JSON file, so you'll be able to read through it and understand exactly what it is. But essentially, what I'm looking at is trying to make a threshold. So typically, if your kilowatts per hour is at 100 or exceeds that number, that means that the price has gone way up, right? So what I've done is I've asked basically for this particular code block to look at the information that ERCOT is sending us and to determine whether or not this the kilowatts per hour has spiked to 100 or more. And if it has, then that will trigger the email. If it hasn't, obviously we're in good shape. We won't need it. So let me go ahead and execute this step. And you can see that its spike is false, right? So if that gets over our threshold of 100, that will be true. And effectively, we will go down the path of sending you that email. So actually, because we haven't done it yet, I'll test it and show you what the email will look like in the case that it does spike by adjusting the threshold a bit. But let's go ahead and build out the actual if statement and then email first, and we'll go from there. So we'll do an if statement, and this is pretty cool the way it branches out, right? It's either true or it's false. And what I'm going to do for this one is I'm actually going to say, because I've already put the JSON code in there, I'm going to put JSON, and we're going to do a Boolean, and we're going to do is true. So if this is true, that ultimately means that we need to send an email. So I'll go ahead and execute this step. We don't have true right now because, again, electricity hasn't spiked, but you'll be able to see the record be logged. So false branch item, false, right? I'll show you what true looks like here in a moment. Because we're working in this particular workflow that is self-hosted by us, we don't have the same ability like on N8N Cloud to be able to log in through our email. So we'll have to do a couple different tricks. I'll show you exactly what that looks like, and I'll provide some of the context in the JSON file so that you'll be able to see, oh, okay, I have to send a SMTP account request through Gmail so that I can get authenticated and leaks to my particular account and sends that email out. It's really, it's not super complicated, but it is a little bit different than what the cloud instance offers. And then we'll execute step. and it'll execute successfully. So we don't have any output here. That's because it was false, right? So what I'm going to go back and do is I'm going to change the threshold from 100 to 10, and then it'll be true. And I'll show you what the email will look like. So we'll go back here. I'm going to go in the code. I'm going to scroll to where I had the threshold, const threshold, milliwatt per hour. I'm just going to delete 10. Okay. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to execute this all the way through. So we're going to execute this. It's actually not even at 10 right now. So I'm going to put it at 2. Is spike equals true? So then we're going to run this one. Is spike equals true? We're going to send that email. And now let's go to my email to see what the actual body of the email looks like. So as you can see, Texas Energy pricing spicy alert. Current wholesale price is $6.09 per milliwatt hour. This is 2 times the normal rate. Remember, I changed the threshold. So for LZ North, this is the interval. Avoid running your AC dishwasher or dryer right now. Wait 1 to 2 hours for prices to drop. So you can see how powerful this is. I get this alert through email or even through text message, and I'll be able to make adjustments in my life that will help reduce the cost of my monthly bills. Hopefully you guys found this really, really helpful. I'm going to start collecting your emails. So if you want to hop on this list, get notified when these prices spike, especially during the summer and all the crazy things going around in the state of Texas with data centers and just, climate change. We're going to be able to actually make adjustments in our own life to help save us a little bit of money and a little bit of stress. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch, and I can't wait to see you again. Take care.